Hey there guys, my name's Haley and welcome back to my channel. I didn't give anybody a chance to ask for this just because I wanted to make it. I showed you guys this little bucket hat that I made in my last video, and I really want to show you guys how to make one. So today I'm going to be making a bucket hat out of the bernat, I believe this is bernat crushed velvet yarn. They may have discontinued this exact color, but they have the bernat velvet yarn for sure. Anyway, I'm going to be using that, and I'm going to be using a 5mm crochet hook. Alrighty, so we are going to start out this bucket hat by doing a magic ring. So this is what we're gonna do to make the magic ring. You lay your yarn over your two fingers like that, bring it back up, and cross it over the original string. So you have a little X. Take your crochet hook, go in under this stitch, and take the hook to grab this left part of the top X. Pull it through so now you have it on the hook. Put it underneath here, and pull that through. Now to close our magic loop, you take this little string, and you pull that. It makes it smaller. So now I'm going to go in, I'm going to put 6 single crochets into this loop. Alrighty, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So now that we've done this, we can pull our little tail and make the loop come together so that that circle in the middle disappears, like magic. Then we're gonna go through and we're going to put 2 single crochets in each of the stitches. Now I should note that it is really hard to see stitches with velvet yarn. Basically you're just looking for these V's. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, so I'm going to start here. I'm gonna put in 1, 2. So that's 2 in the first one. 1, 2, 2 in the second one. All right, now you can go around and count to make sure you have 12 stitches. So we have 12 stitches all around. A little circle looks like this, and now we're going to bring in a stitch marker. If you have an actual stitch marker, that's fine. I just use a piece of colored yarn, a different color that I'm using, just to mark off where I've been. This next row is going to be an increase of 2 stitches, 1 regular, 2 stitches. So kind of similar to what I did in my little cat hat video recently. So we're going to go into this first stitch. I'm going to do a single crochet. Before I go in and put in my second one, I'm just going to stick my crochet hook right through the middle of the stitch and pull my stitch marker through. So that's going to mark the first stitch of our round. I'm going to keep going, and I'm going to put a second stitch in that same first stitch. So we've got 2, then the next stitch is going to be 1, and then back to 2. But remember, this isn't 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, you know, like every other one. It's 2, 1, 2, 2, 1, 2. So we're gonna put another 2 in here. And you can see how that brought us all the way around to the beginning again. So we have our little circle here. So now we're going to do, the next row is going to be every other stitch is an increase. So going into this first stitch, I'm going to do an increase of 2. So we've got 1, but don't forget to move our stitch marker. I'm gonna put my hook back through the stitch, bring that stitch marker through so that we know this is the first stitch of our next round. Then I'm going to increase, put another single crochet in that stitch. And I'm going to do in the next stitch, just 1. And then we've got 2. 1, 2. Okay, so I've done every other stitch as an increase for this round. Now we're about to do an increase, 2 regular, increase, 2 regular, increase, 2 regular, all the way around. So before we can do our increase here, I need to pull the stitch marker through. And then I'm going to start with an increase. Then I'm going to do a regular, and then another regular, before we do another increase. And then we do a regular, regular, and another increase. And a regular, regular, and an increase. So that is the round here. That was an increase with 2 regular stitches next to it. So now we're going to do, very predictable, an increase and then 3 regular stitches. Remember to move your stitch marker. Do the increase, so 2 stitches in the 1 stitch here. Then we do 1, 2, 3 regular, and then an increase here. So going back in that same stitch and increasing, and then 1, another round finished here. Now we're going to do an increase, 4 regular, and repeat that all the way around. Alrighty, moved my stitch marker. Now we're going to increase. That is another round completed. Next we are going to do an increase and then 5 regular stitches. If you were to be making a child size, that is the last row of increases you would have. If you're going to make an adult size, then we're going to do one more after that. So to begin, going back in, moving our stitch marker. Do the actual increase, going back into that same stitch. Ta-da! Then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now an increase in that same stitch. And that is the last stitch of our last row of increases. It gets a little bit wavy, but that's just so that the hat will expand to fit the top of your head. And now we are going to go around and just place single crochets into every single stitch. And I do believe we are going to do that for 14 rows, but I will let you know in a second how many rows it actually ends up being. And remember to keep moving your stitch marker every time so we remember which round we're on. Alrighty, that is the end of our first round with no increases. I'm going to keep going and I will meet you guys back after we have finished all of the rows with no increases and we're ready to increase again for the bottom of the bucket hat. Alright, so off camera I did 22 rows of just normal all around single crochets. So now you're going to do an increase in every other stitch all the way around the hat. So starting here, before we do that increase, I'm going to move the stitch marker. Now that we've moved the stitch marker, I am going to do another increase, then a regular here, an increase here, regular, increase, alrighty, I've finished the increase on row 23 here. So now we're going to start on row 24, and that one is going to be no increases, just single crochets all the way around, so no different from what we did for all those other millions of rows earlier in the hat. I just finished row 24, so you can see it's starting to fan out at the bottom a little bit from that increase we did in row 23. I'm going to do one more row around, and then depending on how that looks, I think we should be good. Alright, and I have finished my final round now. So I am going to do a slip stitch back into the stitch that has our stitch marker. I'm going to slip stitch here. And then I am going to tie off. Take that out, and I'm just going to sew the ends in here. Alrighty, that is the video. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you thought this was helpful, if you liked this video, if you have suggestions for what I could do better, definitely leave a comment down below. Leave a like, subscribe, turn on post notifications to find out every time that I post. Make sure to follow me on my socials, my Instagram, TikTok, and Etsy shop, and all those links will be in the description below. I will see you guys next week at 12 o'clock on Sunday. Bye!